Hello there, YouTube. Today we're going to be taking a look at Sheptone's Blue Sky PAF. Uh, Blue Sky is essentially, it is one of the only machine-wound PAFs that Jeff Shepard over at Sheptone makes, and it's essentially designed to emulate the Blue Sky sound. The Blue Sky song from the Allman Brothers, so it's, kind of designed from the perspective of Dickie Betts, the Fillmore East kind of PAF tone. So today's guitar actually is one of my personal Les Pauls I've had for years now. It's kind of always been there. It's been my go-to for years. This is a 2006 1960 custom shop reissue. This is not a VOS, and it's not also not a GC. It's not a Guitar Center one. So this is the 60s slim taper neck. It's not like a lot of people kind of would compare this to a USA. Why would you spend the money and get a 1960 reissue custom shop when you can buy a 1960 classic? And honestly, I mean, the classic does not compare to this at all. Um, the neck on this is a lot more comfortable than something like a classic or like a standard. Standard, they have that 60s profile, but it's a little bit more of a D shape, and it's a little more uncomfortable for me to play it. Pretty slim. This is actually rounded, very comfortable on your hand. It's kind of just the one that scream my name because I have always loved 58s and 59s because they have such big fat necks and they feel really great. I love them, but something about this guitar just kind of feels really right for me. So this is a faded tobacco finish, flame top and a single piece mahogany back. It's got a little bit of a wear there, but beautiful pieces of wood both on the front and back. And this one is actually, so it's fitted with the Sheptone Blue Sky PAFs, and as far as everything else goes, most of my Les Pauls I've had in the past have been rewired. I will put the CTS TVT, their true vintage taper. I believe they're 10% tolerant. So the true vintage everything, the oil filled caps. This one is actually completely stock. So I'm just running. This is pretty much what it would sound like if you put it through a regular stock custom shop Les Paul. You got the Bumblebee caps, or what Gibson wants to call Bumblebee, and put a crappy capacitor inside of a Bumblebee casing, but that's Gibson for you. What do you expect? Um, so yeah, I'm gonna get started here. I'm playing through a um, hovercraft Falcon 50, which is essentially a Jet City 50-watt head. You know, it's got a couple of mods on it. It's got a depth knob on the back of the amp, as well as a knob for between vintage and modern. You can kind of dial in a different sound, as well as different kind of modulations for the preamp section as well. I've got it completely, well, I've got it actually on, if for any of you that know anything about hovercraft, I actually have it on the clean channel, no, the high gain channel, but I run the gain all the way down. So what I'm doing is actually running the gain, the preamp volume from the vintage channel from channel 1, and what it's doing is bleeding into the circuit of the high gain. So I have no gain on the high gain side, and I'm simply bleeding the vintage gain into that. It's a little bit cleaner that way, because if you run straight through the vintage channel, it doesn't have articulation. It's the articulation that I like as far as string definition. It has really great gain structure, but when it kind of bleeds, it doesn't come on full force. It kind of has a more organic sound. I'm sorry, we're 4 minutes into the video now and I still haven't started playing, but start out. This is kind of, I'm going to start it a little bit cleaner here. Turn the volume up. And we'll start out on the lead pickup, so the bridge here. And these are wound, well, the machine wound, 42 gauge plain enamel wires like the old ones, but these are actually, I believe, I've had these for 3 years now or so, but these actually, I believe, use the Alnico 4 magnets. So a little bit less common, different sound, but here we go. I'm going to show you this a little bit cleaner on this amp. So. Pickups are very woody, very open sounding. That's what I like. Of course, if you're like me, you're not going to play this clean, but if you need to, good clarity. So neck position. The middle selection here. Back to the neck. Get a little bit dirtier. Typically a little bit closer to where I would have it. So something I'm going to do here before I get started, I do kind of a, the Dickie Betts Allman Brothers sound that these pickups, are really, really close to. I mean, I can't really tell much of a difference, but, you have different signal paths back then, simpler amps, I'm not sure if they're using pedals or not, but these are pretty damn close. So what you need to do is go in the middle, and you want to actually turn the neck pickup down to about 8, actually about 7, 7.5. That way you're getting a little bit more of the lead pickup in there, but you still get a little bit of the warmth and roundness of the neck. And that's kind of that Allman Brothers tone that I grew up loving. So that would be, like Stormy Monday. Neck pickup, all full volume. Back to the lead pickup here, full volume still again. That was a little bit of a short demo of the Sheptone Blue Skies. They're some of my favorite pickups, period. I've had them in this guitar. I've had a for about 3 years, I've done a couple of different pickup swaps between, burst, a little bit different burst buckers. Start out with a 1 and a 2, like any custom shop Les Paul. And then I think I went to a 2 and a 3 for a while to kind of give that a little bit of a try. And then I ended up with the Seymour Duncan Antiquities, which are great pickups if you're, comparing between this. But the big difference I've noticed is, especially with these specific ones from Sheptone, I have tried those other pickups in my guitars, which I love every one of them. But these pickups have much more definition, which you have to be going for that sound. They can do a lot, but I think that a lot of Shep's other pickups that he makes are a lot more versatile for different kinds of music, because if you're plugging this to a super clean amp, you can get a lot of spank out of them, but they do one thing incredibly well, and that is that, super accurate PAF woody tone that, everybody's kind of chasing. So then, comparing to antiquities are wound a little bit different. There's Seymour's little touch he does on them, but those actually use Alnico 2 magnets, which, Seymour uses in a lot of his pickups. I'm not going to dog them. They're great. These are the 4, and most of Shep's are 5s, but they're degaussed a little bit, so they're not, full. They're not full power magnets. They're not. They're not really pulling that hard, but you still get the bite of an Alnico 5, just toned back a little bit. Seymour Duncans for me aren't. They're not bitey enough. They're warm. They're really nice and chimey, but when you add gain on them, like I had a problem with my Antiquity in the neck. I swapped that out with a couple of different ones trying it, and it was always muddy. Like this one, I mean, neck pickup with the gain I'm at now. Even under that kind of, plexi-ish gain, it still holds together. It's still got that mid-range response, and it still has those individual note. It has a definition of every note, so it holds itself together really well. That's my 2 cents here. Again, Sheptone Blue Skies. Thanks so much for watching, guys.